I'm starting to think that maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the problem. I mean, every time I travel for an away football game, Arkansas loses, and every time I stay home and watch it on TV, they win. It's got to be something, right? But I did enjoy staying home and watching the Arkansas-Kansas exhibition basketball game. That was a lot of fun in Bud Walton Arena. What's up, everybody? Trey Biddy with HawgSports.com coming to you after Arkansas's 58-25 win over the Mississippi State Bulldogs in Starkville, Mississippi. I'm coming to you from Fayetteville, Arkansas, beautiful Gully Park. Now, this was an offensive explosion. We'll talk about the defense a little bit, but when your offense, runs at will, puts up 500 yards on the ground, you got to call it an offensive explosion, obviously. Now, that may be a bit of an exaggeration. It wasn't quite 500 yards, but it sure felt like 500 yards, didn't it, Mississippi State? Tom Murphy said he asked Bobby Petrino when he was coming off the field if he knew that the tight ends were going to cut like that. And he said, hell yeah. Good to see Andreas Poska get his first touchdowns, 2 of them. Luke has got 2 touchdowns. Taylon Green was phenomenal. I mean, that just shows you like what he's capable of when he has protection. We put so much blame every week on the quarterback, his decision making and stuff. You're just not going to make good decisions if you're under constant duress. And it looks like he's healthy with the knee and everything. Certainly felt comfortable running, got great protection all day. Tremendous job running the ball overall. I think it was 359 rushing yards, so quite a lot of rushing yards. Braylon Russell took 16 carries to get to 100 yards. And he took 17 to get to 175 yards. It looks like it's just maybe a cramp or something. I don't think, initially looked like a hamstring, but a 75-yard run by the 250-pounder. Pretty to see that. There were 5 things that I wanted to see out of this game, regardless, based on what I've seen from Mississippi State. I knew Arkansas was going to take care of things offensively. I thought they'd play a little better on defense. Again, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But there were 5 things that you needed to see that were separate from, what might happen in terms of touchdown passes and piling up a bunch of yardage and defensive plays and stuff like that. It's always penalties, turnovers, special teams, injuries, and making your opponent pay for their mistakes. One of the things I hate in sports is when people say they didn't beat us, we beat ourselves. No, you made mistakes and they punished you for them. It's 2 parts, okay? You make a mistake and you make them pay for it. And that's what Arkansas did time and time again for Mississippi State. I don't think I've ever seen that many plays at the goal line that went against one team. It felt like it was a little more 58-42. But Arkansas made them pay over and over and over again when they made mistakes. Penalties. Now, when I talk about penalties, Arkansas lost the penalties 7-4, I think. But I'm talking about like procedure penalties, mental penalties, unsportsmanlike conduct, things that you can control. You're going to have stuff happen throughout the course of a game, but like holding and things like that. That's going to happen. But I only remember one procedure penalty. They had the illegal formation on the throw to Tyrone Broden. But aside from that, I didn't see any unsportsmanlike fouls. None of that stuff that Arkansas can control. So check there. And I kind of said, if they win 4 of those, they'll win walking away if they win 4 of these 5 categories. So winning there, made them pay for mistakes, overcoming injuries, and capitalizing on their injuries. I thought they did that perfectly. Obviously, they had some defensive linemen out, a key receiver out, and they weren't able to adjust properly to that. Arkansas, on the other hand, had Jaquindon Jackson, one of the best running backs in the country, out, and Braylon Russell comes in and puts up 175 yards on 16 or 17 carries. So that's how you get it done. Okay, turnovers. Arkansas won 5-1 in that category. Dominated. So penalties, I felt like Arkansas won because Mississippi State did some boneheaded things. And here's the deal: Mississippi State, you're in year 1. You're in year 1 of Jeff Lebby, and you're going to have an undisciplined team. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. You're going to go through a lot of growing pains. You cannot judge any coach, and Arkansas fans know this better than anybody because we've seen a lot of them over the years. You cannot judge anybody on year 1. You just can't. If you did, then Houston Nutt's the greatest coach of all time, and Bobby Petrino, Steve Sarkisian, Nick Saban, are all mediocre. So don't get too down on your dauber, Mississippi State. You just got a long way to go. You got a lot of work to do. It's tougher than ever to be a first-year coach, I think. And, it's amazing that Arkansas lost to those guys under a different administration, but lost to them 7-3 last year. And the only reason the offense scored is because Jalen Braxton had an interception deep in Mississippi State territory, in Fayetteville, by the way. So I got off track a little bit. I'm not sure where I was on my 5 keys. Penalties, yes. Turnovers, yes. Special teams. Special teams, Arkansas won narrowly. Ferry, the kicker from Searcy, Arkansas, actually, for Mississippi State, missed a field goal, and Arkansas made all of theirs. Had a pretty good punt. It was a 15-yard return, but it was a 53-yard punt. It was a good punt overall. So I would say Arkansas narrowly won special teams. Penalties, turnovers, special teams, injuries, capitalizing on mistakes. And they did that. So when you do all of those things, for the most part, the on-field stuff's going to take care of itself. And you do all those other things, then you're going to walk out of the stadium with a win. You just are. And that's what happened here. So some unfortunate things for Mississippi State. Dude throwing the ball up in the air like he just won the game. Just a ridiculous decision by that kid. I mean, he's going to learn from it, but you can't do stuff like that. You cost your team big. You didn't get into the end zone. I thought his knee was out. I actually thought they got every single one of those calls at the goal line right. And it's unfortunate because, as Razorback fans out there watching this, that Arkansas has been on the other side of that coin time and time again, where it just feels like everything going against you. And that's kind of what happened for Mississippi State. Again, I said, it felt like it was a little bit more like 58-42. The defense, I put this on X in the first quarter, and people were coming after me like, one guy said, "Don't talk, just walk." But I just said, from the way things look, with Arkansas controlling things on both sides of the ball and the line of scrimmage both ways, this thing could get out of hand. And I ended up deleting it because everybody got so mad at me, but I probably should have just left it up. But I understand, you don't want to jinx them and all that stuff, and that's kind of what I was doing, and I know that more than anybody. But Arkansas defensive line, especially the starting defensive line, the backup defensive line didn't have as much success, but the starters and Kiwi Rose too, really dominated them, I thought. And Arkansas's offensive line provided great protection. It was good to see Patrick Kudus back out there again. Rashad DeBinion, got to mention DeBinion because he caught a lot of hell last week for that fumble. He ran the ball extremely hard today. Andrew Armstrong's is just a stud. It's great to see Haz get involved, Posey get involved. Isaac Teslaw made some plays. Satania made, I don't know if Satania had a whole lot of plays, but each game's different, and Sam Pittman was talking about it in the post game, that it's all about matchups. And Mississippi State, they put 28 up on Florida. They put 31 on Georgia. They put up some points on some other teams. It's not like they're not going to be able to put up points. It's just all of the things that come with it that they're not ready for. They're not ready for with a freshman quarterback and some of the injuries that they've had and stuff. So that, they can put up yards, but sometimes it's about finishing, and finishing a lot of times takes some discipline. And they've got some players, they're not good enough. I mean, basically, it's, again, year one under a new coaching staff. Never felt like Arkansas was in jeopardy of losing this game. Never once. And even when it got close, never felt like, now there was a few things that I would have liked to have seen done differently. Like, I want to see them get down to single digits, when they're up 41-10 and there's 5 minutes left. I think they scored with 4:40 left, their first touchdown, and then they scored again real quick after a turnover. It was unfortunate that Andrew Armstrong stumbled on that play. That was not pass interference. That was just getting your legs, locked up, and it resulted in a turnover against Arkansas. But, it was 41-10 with 5 minutes or so left, and in the third quarter, to me, like, let's take the clock all the way down and get out of here. But Arkansas felt pretty confident. And let's stop throwing the ball over the middle. That's what I'd be saying if I was Sam Pittman. But, I think Arkansas was just very confident that they were going to get done what they needed to do on offense, even though Mississippi State got it to within 16 points at one point. So up next, Ole Miss. Watch this Razorback defense play better against Ole Miss on Saturday in Fayetteville. It'll be different. Ole Miss has a much better offense than Mississippi State, but this defense will play better against Ole Miss. They'll have a better game plan. I think that they got to a point where it was just like, this game's over, Now, the one play, because they had like 461 yards of offense, the one play that it's hard for me to get upset over the officiating because I know a lot of things went in Arkansas's favor when, there were some things that were like, you're talking about this far away on some touchdowns, I felt like, and maybe a bad spot on that, that one touchdown or not touchdown where there was a bad spot, and you felt like, they probably, I understand what happened, like it wasn't they weren't reviewing the spot of the ball so much that I guess they were reviewing, I don't know what they were reviewing, to be honest. Like, I guess it wasn't, I've seen it called where it's like, it's not an egregious spot, I've seen it go against Arkansas. It's been many years ago where that was kind of the ruling on why the ball obviously should have been closer to the goal line. It wasn't, but on the next play, it was just stuffed on 4th down, which, by the way, speaking of downs, Arkansas was 0 of 7. The things that jump out, Arkansas, I'm just going off on random tangents, but Arkansas was 0 of 7 on 3rd down and put up 58 points. When do you ever see that? Now, Pittman said in the post game that there were times where he told Petrino, like, hey, we got 2 plays to get it here, so we're gonna go for it on 4th down if we don't get it here. So sometimes you call a play knowing you're not going to get a 1st down to set yourself up in a better situation for a 4th and short or 4th and manageable. So that happened a couple of times. But 0 of 7 on 3rd downs and scoring 58 points, and you got a running back that puts up 175 yards, and the offense puts up 58 points, and he didn't score a touchdown. That's wild to me. You just don't see that very often. Okay. What happens if I go this way? I'll just keep going on the path. It's a really nice day for October with Halloween coming up. So, SEC road wins, always tough. You should cherish every one of them. Don't get too excited because it is Mississippi State. They're now 1 and 7, obviously. They'll battle some teams, but they don't know what it takes to win. And sometimes that's one of the biggest hurdles that you're trying to overcome, is understanding everything that it takes to win. Not throwing the ball up in the air in celebration for a play that's going to be reviewed and costing your team a touchdown. Not stretching the ball out like this. You cannot do that. Brett Bielema was always really good about stopping his players from doing that, from extending the ball out. The only time you ever do that, it's 4th down, and you got to have it, that kind of thing. So don't ever extend the ball out like that, and the guy did, and he paid for it. Was Hudson Clark, did he make that tackle? Did he make that hit and cause that fumble? I think he did. He also had an interception. Hudson Clark was, I don't remember what I was going to say like 2 minutes ago. But on that screen pass on Mississippi State's first touchdown, that was holding. It was. And again, I'm not trying to complain about the officiating or anything, because I felt like largely it kind of went in Arkansas's favor. But on that screenplay, you're at the point of attack. Hudson clearly getting held. You've got to throw a flag there. That was just bad on the officiating crew to miss that, and that resulted in a 54-yard touchdown. Sometimes you got to ask yourself, why was this so open? If you're an official. So, but things happen. You're not going to get every play. We can't expect perfection. Would like to see a little bit better play from the defense, but again, overall, when you got a feeling, I think, that they had that their offense was about to go off, and felt like sometimes they were just doing whatever they wanted to do. Literally, like, aside from like the icons out there, so there were times when it felt like I was watching the college football video game, especially with Taylor Green, some of his scrambles and stuff. So anyway, Arkansas basketball should be fun. Boogie Flan, DJ Wagner, Nelly Davis once he gets going good, Thiero, Zvonimir Ivisic. It's going to be really exciting, guys. They're going to hit some moments, where, they've got some challenging teams up on the schedule and some impressive venues coming up, like Madison Square Garden, going to TCU and all that kind of stuff, and for another exhibition anyway. So, there'll be some challenges along the way, but what an exciting group. What an exciting group. How much fun was that last night in Bud Walton Arena? I will say this, and I don't know, maybe it was because it was a Friday, but I felt like there was more people at the Purdue game last year. Isn't that weird? Both teams were ranked number 1. Maybe Purdue was 3 at the time. I can't remember, but I don't know what that was. I estimated about maybe about almost 18,000 people in Bud Walton last night. But it was a great crowd, a lot of fun. Loved the intros. Loved seeing Corliss Williamson up there on the big screen. I think the three-point shooting will improve. You know, Davis is a really good three-point shooter. But they hit a streak where they missed 10 straight or something. Oh, you guys love my basketball insight. You got to follow Connor Goodson for more basketball coverage at HawgSports, HawgSports.com. Sign up for $1 right now for your first month at HawgSports. It's a really exciting time. Now let's look at the rest of the schedule. You got Ole Miss coming up. It's a big one in Fayetteville. Now you win that one, like, you could really change your bowl outlook a little bit. Arkansas, unless just a complete disaster happens, is going to a bowl game because they've got Louisiana Tech on the schedule. They're 5-3 right now, so they're going to get to that 6th win. The question is, can they knock off Ole Miss? Then they get a bye week. Can they knock off Texas, beat Louisiana Tech, and then Missouri and Columbia, a place that they've never won before? There are opportunities, guys. Like, I'm not going to say that they can beat Texas, but it is in Fayetteville. And when it's in Fayetteville, when you're the home team, there's always a chance, right? But they're not going to be favored in. The only game that they'll probably be favored in the rest of the way would be that Louisiana Tech game, I would guess. But they can beat Ole Miss in Fayetteville. They can beat Missouri and Columbia. It's going to be hard to beat Texas the way this Texas team is put together right now. But stranger things have happened. They beat higher ranked teams before. All right, we did the full loop here at Gully Park. Oh, this is new. I've not been here in a little bit. They've added some concrete. All right, everybody. That's it for the walk and talk. No highs and lows emotionally today. I can't control how I feel, right? So I'm just giving it to you like I feel right now. And this is how I feel. Nice win for Arkansas. Cherish SEC road wins. Don't get too excited about beating Mississippi State at the same time. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining me. This has been Trey Biddy with HawgSports.com, and we'll catch you next time.